Howdy folks, hope you're all having a great weekend and welcome back to Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate Daemonhunters. Do you remember a couple of weeks back I showed you the mission that basically broke me? A mission that went so wrong so quickly that I was basically forced to go back to an earlier save. For the first time while playing this game. The problem was that earlier save was around about 2 months of game time previous, and so I'd pretty much been playing catch up ever since. Well, it was only a matter of time before the game's random mission generator handed me a Bloomspawn mission that is pretty much exactly the same as the mission that broke me all those weeks ago. How badly can I handle it this time? This is a seek and destroy the Bloomspawn mission, so there are 3 Bloomspawns that I need to seek and destroy. The first one that I'm going to go for is over here, and it was kind of at this point where I started to get that feeling of deja vu. I mean, this isn't the first seek and destroy the Bloomspawn mission that I've done, but I remembered this layout, and it wasn't a good memory. This is basically exactly the same layout with exactly the same mission objectives as that mission that forced me to go back to an earlier save all those weeks ago. There are going to be differences, of course, because I've actually progressed further along in the campaign now. Which means I'm facing enemies that I wouldn't have faced all of those weeks ago. Things like Blightlord Terminators, Plague Champions. Tougher enemies, basically. Although, to be fair, my boys are significantly tougher this time around as well. So, what can I say? Challenge accepted. Although, the challenge this time around is just to not do as hilariously badly as I did the first time around. Although that could be harder than it sounds. Let's see what happens when we encounter the first Bloomspawn. And here they are. So we've got a Plague Ridden, a couple of Plague Bearers, and a Plague Marine. Oh, and of course we're getting reinforcements through a Warp Rift. And let's not forget we've got the Bloomspawn itself, and those sprouty tentacly things around it too. So the first thing they're doing is gathering mutations, so at least one of them, the seed bearer at the back there, appears to now be draining willpower with its melee attacks. You see, here's my issue, because the majority of these bad guys do not really have any ranged attacks, but these things do. So these bloom branches only have a range of 4, but the Bloomspawn itself has a range of 14, and I don't really want to be getting bombarded by that thing while trying to deal with all of the melee enemies. So rather than rushing in there and trying to take them all on at the same time, bearing in mind that we're going to get reinforcements through that Warp Rift as well, and since I don't know what's coming through that Warp Rift, my plan is to fall back to give me some space to not have to deal with the melee enemies, so I can focus down the ranged enemies and then take on the melee enemies at my leisure, at a place of my choosing, out of range of the bloom branches and the Bloomspawn. That's the plan. So I'm going to pull everybody back and set up Overwatch. Because the nightmare scenario here is I rush into melee with all of those Plague Bearers while getting bombarded by the Bloom Branches and the Bloomspawn, and then a Dreadnought comes through that Warp Rift. Right. Do not want that to happen. The problem with Overwatch in Chaos Gate is that it's kind of crap. I mean, on the bright side, it's not like XCOM 2. You are at least guaranteed to hit something if it wanders into your Overwatch, but the enemies have a way of not wandering into your Overwatch. But it's better than nothing, I guess, and Fallen Back has forced all of these Plague Bearers to get closer. Yeah, that's fine. The armour took it. Not an issue. So what do we have over? Okay. Oh, actually, that's not too bad. There's a Blightlord champion there, but he's a melee enemy and a Plague Bearer, and he's also a melee enemy. So that could have been a lot worse. Still, the only one ranged enemy that I have to deal with is that Plague Marine over there on the near side of the bridge. So I need to focus him down. Preferably without getting anybody into melee range, because he may be within covering fire range of the Bloomspawn itself. But the first thing I'm going to do, because it's a free action, is use the Extractor Servo Skull to grab that seed from the Plague Bearer at the back. Next, because those Plague Bearers on the bridge do have a lot of movement, and I don't want to let them get into melee range this turn, Apothecary Honda is going to cast Emperor's Judgment on them which is going to hobble them and reduce their movement. Librarian Forest does a Vortex of Doom on the incoming reinforcements to soften them up for Interceptor's storm, because I can't afford to ignore them. They're going to be closing the distance too. And I'm going to have the rest of the squad focus down and kill this Plague Marine, because at the moment he's the only direct threat. He's the only one with a ranged weapon. It's going to be tricky to finish him off though, because he is at maximum Storm Bolter range. Which means that the Storm Bolters, which would normally be doing 4 or maybe 5 damage, are probably only going to be doing 2 or 3. But it's better than nothing. I can always boost it with a Side Bolt. It's the start of the mission. I'm not exactly short on willpower. Except I don't want to just throw Librarian Forest's willpower around. I have much, much better uses for it. So... yeah, Iolanthus is going to expend some willpower here. And again. And in order to guarantee the kill, again. Right, now I have no ranged enemies to worry about, at least until I come to handle the room spawn itself. So, Apothecary Honda. You can set up Overwatch just to cover the remaining 2 Plague Bearers on the bridge. Unfortunately, just to make things harder, all of my stratagems are locked out on this mission because Inquisitor Waifu broke a nail or something. So I was going to pop a Quicksilver stratagem on Interceptor Storm to give him an extra 2 action points to help him deal with those reinforcements, but stratagems are locked out. Oh, Iolanthus can cast Honor the Chapter on... no, Iolanthus has just used all of his action points, so I'm basically just going to have to do this all with Interceptor Storm alone. Now, the reinforcements are out of range of his teleport strike, but he can teleport to within range and then teleport strike. Now that's going to cost him 2 action points, which will just leave him 1 action point to finish off those reinforcements, but he does have a 50% chance of recovering any action points spent on a teleport ability. So the worst case scenario is he could end up there with only 1 action point to do attacks, but he could end up there with all 3 of his action points. Now note that there's no warning that there's an enemy patrol over there. And there's an enemy patrol over there. The good news is he did at least get the action point back for teleporting to within range of and pulling a patrol consisting of a Blightlord Terminator and a Blightlord Champion. Oh my god. So now what am I going to do? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is recover that seed, since, you know, it's a free action, doesn't cost me anything. My immediate reaction was to teleport straight back the hell out of there, but you can't do that. You can't use the same teleport ability twice in the same turn. But I do still have all 3 action points, so why not do the teleport strike and then see what we need to do afterwards. And yeah, I'm going to warp charge it, because now is not the time to start skimping on willpower. And I get lucky again. I mean, he kills the Plague Bearer, but he also recovers the action point from the teleport strike, so he still has 2 action points left to use. So let's go for the Hammer Hand crit attack. And just in case this guy survives, we're going to disable his Plague Shield, so we can no longer use the Defend ability. And I have 2 action points left. So here's the thing, if I try to run away now, Storm is going to suffer a reaction attack. But I've got 2 action points left. 1, even with a Force Strike, isn't going to be enough to kill this guy. So I now have 1 action point left, and if I run away, he's going to get hit in the back by the Blightlord he's disengaging from, and I'm not going to be able to get far enough away to avoid getting shot up by the Blightlord Terminator's autocannon. So, chicks dig scars, glory lasts forever. Let's kill this guy, and they will just take it. There is, however, a method to my madness, because even though he's going to get hit by this guy, Storm has a 75% chance to parry any melee attack made against him, so he takes no damage from that. Now he is going to get shot up with this autocannon, and it is going to hurt. But honestly, under the circumstances, I still think this is the best possible outcome. Well, the best possible outcome would have been not pulling that patrol in the first place, but I didn't even know it was there, so I don't really think I can be blamed for that. Normally, the game will give you an indication that there is a patrol just outside of detection range. For some reason, that didn't happen today. Right, anyway, the remaining enemies, with the exception of the Blightlord Terminator with the, I keep wanting to call it an assault cannon, it is actually an auto cannon, they're all melee enemies. Interceptor Storm. He's running low on willpower. You know what? We'll come back to him in a moment. Right then, Justicar Iolanthus. We're going to honour the chapter, and I think we're going to warp charge it because Storm's going to need all the help he can get here to deal with both of these guys. So that should have given Storm 6 action points and some bonus willpower. We are probably going to end up triggering a warp surge at the end of this turn, but I don't care. I'm quite happy to deal with the consequences of that. Let's get the crit attack off. And yeah, just a straightforward melee strike. We will buff it with a bit of willpower. These guys have a lot of health. Let's go for it again. And then I get a lucky crit. But I misread the tooltip at the top of the screen, thinking that this guy only had 2 stun left when I go for the +2 stun attack, and no. I thought this would have stunned him, giving me an execute with a final attack to give everybody a bonus action point, but yeah, no. No, I just misread the tooltip. So, Storm does still have 2 action points left. 2 action points are not going to be enough to deal with the Blightlord Terminator, however, so I'm getting the hell out of there. Oh, and he gets the action point back from that teleport as well. Well, may as well use them. I do have a Plague Bearer to deal with, and they have a 50% chance to parry the first melee attack made against them as well. Except you can't parry intercept the Storm's melee attacks. It does cost him the full 2 action points to get there and hit it though, but hey, it's damage. Next, Apothecary Honda does a very nice Storm Bolter that will do 5 rather than 4 damage on a hit, and of course reaction fire from Interceptor Storm, which means the next shot at this thing is going to kill it. And I'd like to kill it with Librarian Foros, because he's the one who needs the experience. Unfortunately, due to cover penalties, it's not going to do any damage from there. But as long as it will do at least 1 damage from here, that will do. So there's 1 Plague Bearer left on the bridge. The Plague Ridden is just kind of doing his own thing at the back. Yeah, we'll smite him. Why not? Foros still does have a lot of willpower. I'm not going to bother with a warp charge though. I'm not expending more than 1 willpower on something that isn't really in melee range of anybody. And then we'll just set up some Overwatch. Do need to worry about what that Blightlord Terminator is going to do though. This guy's hobbled, he probably doesn't have the movement to reach anybody to melee them in this turn. So I'll move Iolanthus to there, which gives him half cover against the Blightlord Terminator's autocannon, and then we'll just set up some Overwatch here as well, I think. I don't really want to get onto that bridge and fight anything, because anything on that bridge I'm pretty sure is going to be within range of the Bloom Spawn's attack, and it does a very nasty area of effect ranged attack that can also inflict random afflictions. The Blightlord Terminator moves up and takes shots at Iolanthus, and I thought, yeah, fantastic. Range and cover penalties means he takes no damage, but he's actually doing suppressive fire. And that's bad news. This guy's hobbled, so he doesn't have the range to get to within melee, and of course, because they always do, manages to completely avoid the Overwatch. I get a relatively benign warp surge this time, giving the Plague Ridden the ability to drain willpower with his melee attack. So I do have a bit of a problem there with Iolanthus, because if he does anything while he's being suppressed, he's going to take damage. Storm, however, is not being suppressed, and since his attacks cannot be parried, we're going to use him to carve up this Plague Bearer before he becomes a problem. And he actually gets lucky and scores a crit on his final attack, without which he would otherwise not have finished off the Plague Bearer in one go. So that's nice. Now, how am I going to interrupt that Blightlord Terminator? Because This may be something of an oversight on my part, because I don't think I actually have anybody who can do an interrupt other than, you know, killing the thing that needs interrupting. And that's a Blightlord Terminator with a lot of health and armour. And it's going to take some killing. So I moved the good librarian up to get him within range to use Vortex of Doom. And yes, I know I'm using an area of effect attack against a single target. What a waste. Well, yes and no. It's a Blightlord Terminator. It's got a shit ton of health and armour. And Vortex of Doom is my single most damaging attack. It does 8 damage. And if I can hit multiple enemies with it and do 8 damage to all of them, great. But if I can't, it's still doing more damage than anything else I've got. And that guy has a lot of health and armour. The one thing that the Vortex of Doom is not doing, however, is interrupting that suppression. But Iolanthus himself has the solution to the problem. And I know this is going to seem really, really stupid, but it works. The Crushing Charge ability runs you right through the suppressive fire without actually triggering the suppressive fire, and interrupts whoever you hit along the way. So that was nice. And yes, I realise I did just use another area of effect melee attack this time in order to hit one target, but the Rend the Unclean ability does 7 damage. It's my second single most damaging ability, so I'm using it. We'll hack this guy's melee weapon off, just on the off chance that he does actually survive. And I only have Apothecary Honda left, but I can move him up to here and still have 1 action point left to shoot. And is it going to be enough to kill him? Indeed it is. And he's dead. And that means I just have the Plague Ridden and the Bloom Spawn itself to deal with. And here comes the Plague Ridden. And I didn't anticipate the range of that, but even though if he'd hit Interceptor Storm, he resisted the affliction, although since that thing's attacks now drain willpower, Storm did lose a willpower point out of it. Now it's doing +2 damage with its melee strikes as well, thanks to a fresh mutation. So things have been going pretty well so far. Don't worry, that's not going to last. Watch and see how I screw this up. So, bearing in mind that the Plague Ridden is surrounded by a cloud of flies, which means that it's basically a waste of time shooting at it. I mean, Apothecary Honda does have a very nice Storm Bolter. He should be able to shoot this thing 3 times and do 15 damage, but due to various different penalties, he's actually only going to do 9, which is a complete waste of time. On the other hand, if I run to engage that thing in melee on the bridge, I'm probably going to be within range of the Bloom Spawn's area of effect ranged attack. So here's my plan, and it's a good plan. Why don't I use Librarian Forrest's Gate of Infinity to teleport everybody to the far side of the bridge, kill the Bloom Spawn, and then worry about the Plague Ridden later? I just need to move him up far enough to be able to teleport to... Oh, I've spent all 3 of his action points moving him up there, and now he's got no action points left, and he's standing right in front of the Plague Ridden. Well, shit. So that's not good. Don't worry, Interceptor Storm to the rescue. Except not. Because Interceptor Storm only gets 2 attacks.
The enemy is wounded.
And now he's blocking everybody else from attacking the Plague Ridden. God. Okay, Iolanthus, do you have any spare willpower and action points? Yeah. We'll honour the chapter on Interceptor Storm. And hope that he can finish this thing off with 2 attacks. Doesn't really have the willpower to spend on buffing his attacks with force strikes. So whether I like it or not, I think I am going to have to try to finish this thing off with ranged attacks. Go Apothecary Honda. He's at least doing 3 damage. So he can kill it with 2 shots. Actually, no, I forgot about Interceptor Storm's reaction attack. So, okay, we're good. Oh yeah, because, yeah, Apothecary Honda couldn't have shot it again. He's out of ammo. So, disaster averted. I know, I absolutely don't deserve to keep getting away with this. However, I am pretty sure that everybody is now within range of the... Yeah, here it comes. Okay, that could have been worse. Yeah, that's fine. Hobbled and blinded. Yeah, it could have been a lot worse than that.
What
Right,
is
the
your
reason I
will?
wasn't expending willpower to do 4 strikes on that plague ridden is because Intercept the Storm is going to need all of his willpower for this. Yep, it's the good old teleport strike. And he has just enough to be able to warp charge it as well for maximum damage output. So let's go ahead and do that. This is going to drain all of his willpower. But it does a lot of
I
damage.
must refocus, Commander.
No willpower left for 4 strikes, so we're just going to hit this bloom spawn as hard as we possibly can. Oh, he gets a crit with bonus +2 damage. And he's done. It has 10 health left. Time for the Vortex of Doom, which if I place it correctly, I'm going to have to move closer, I think. Yeah. Let's just this time make sure I do actually have an action point left to cast the Vortex of Doom when I get there. That'll do. And if I place this properly, I should be able to hit all of them. And that will kill the 2 branches, which means that a single shot should be enough to kill the bloom spawn. Apothecary Honda has the best storm bolter. Let's make sure he has the 1 action point left in order to actually shoot the thing. That should do. Move him up. Unleash the Daca. Oh, actually no. Let's do it with Iolanthus. Because I like being able to use Honor the Chapter. He's very low on willpower, and he definitely needs the kill. Except, it turns out, he still only has 1 willpower point. Yep, you don't actually get willpower back for killing bloom spawns. So, Iolanthus has 1 willpower, Storm has no willpower and is injured and is going to need healing. And that is 1 bloom spawn down after 20 minutes and 2 to go. And this is still a better outcome. Bad though things are at the moment, with the mission only 1/3 done, I'm still in a vastly superior position than I was the last time I tried to do this mission. So we're going to heal up, intercept the storm.
Gratitude.
2 bloom spawn to go. Join me in the next episode where we're going to find out whether or not I can actually salvage a creditable win from this mission without getting the squad so badly beaten up that it ends up setting my progress back again. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope you're all having a fantastic weekend. And as always, be pure, be vigilant, behave.